Morning, everyone. So last week in our last live, we explored neuroplasticity, which is the brain's amazing ability to rewire itself all throughout your life. And today, I'd like to expand on that topic, and we can look at this process in action by taking a look at how our brain creates habits. Now, I know that habit formation is not the most simple thing for me. So I'm sure this will be something that comes up for some of you in this group. So I hope this is helpful for you. So by the end of this time together, you'll see exactly how habits form at the neurological level, and more importantly, how to use this knowledge to build better habits for your own life. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen, and then we'll look at what's actually happening in your brain when you develop a habit. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the science behind habits. Every single habit, whether it's brushing your teeth, checking your phone, or reaching for coffee every morning, follows the exact same three-part pattern. Scientists call this the habit loop, and it looks like this. Part one, we have the cue, which is the trigger that tells your brain to switch into automatic mode. Cues can be a specific time of day, a location, an emotional state, something that you just finished doing, or an environmental signal. For example, walking into your kitchen might be a cue that triggers to make coffee every morning. Next, we have the routine, which is the behavior itself. This is your actual habit. It could be physical, like exercising, mental, like worrying, or emotional, like feeling frustrated in traffic. Oh, I suffer with that one. Part three, we have the reward, which is the payoff. So, the reward is crucial because it's what makes your brain want to repeat the loop. So, what happens when you do step two, which is the routine that makes you feel good? And this could be physical satisfaction, it could be emotional relief, it could be a sense of accomplishment, could be a social connection, or it could be the chemical hit that your brain gets. So here's the key. Your brain is remembering this reward and it starts to crave it when it encounters the cue, which is step one. So let's talk about the neural highway analogy. Here's where last week's lesson on neuroplasticity comes in. Every time you complete a loop with a cue, a routine, and a reward, you're literally carving a deeper groove in your brain. Think of it like water flowing down a hillside. The first time, water finds the easiest path down. But as water flows repeatedly, it actually carves the groove. And eventually, with enough repetition, there becomes a deep channel where water automatically flows with no issues. So if you think of your brain in the exact same way, every time you repeat a habit, it strengthens those neural pathways, which makes the behavior more and more automatic. So let me give you a few examples. Let's talk about the phone first and foremost. Probably a lot of people struggle with that. So, cue, I'm feeling bored, or ping, hear that notification on my phone. Routine, I'm going to pick up this phone, I'm going to unlock it, and I'm going to start scrolling. And the reward for me, brief entertainment, or I get a social connection, depending on what I'm doing. Let's look at another one. Your evening TV habit. So, I cook dinner, I clean up all the dishes, and I'm tired after a long way, and I sit down on the couch. There's my cue. Sit down on the couch. The routine is turn on the TV. And then the reward is I get to relax and maybe even get a mental escape. And let's talk about the morning coffee. I actually did quit coffee, so this one doesn't apply to me anymore, but it definitely did apply to me for a long time. So for me, it was getting in the car in the morning. So the cue is getting up, getting in the car. And then I would do what I had to do, drive my kids to school, drive my kids where they needed to go, and then I would go and grab an iced coffee. So the reward for me was a caffeine boost and just a ritual of comfort. For me, it was more, I deserve this because I just took the kids out and got everything done in the morning. So it was like that I felt it was an actual reward. So that's just a few examples of what it looks like with the cue, the routine, and then the reward. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the 21-day myth. So I'm sure you've heard, and it probably can make people feel bad, that it takes 21 days to build a habit, which is 3 weeks. 3 weeks. So if I can go and take a walk for 3 weeks, it's going to just now become a habit, and I'm going to want to take this walk moving forwards. Now, that's just not true. So I hope that is some sort of comfort to some of you here. Believing this could actually hurt your habit building efforts. So if you think this is true and you can't build a habit after 21 days, then this could stop you in your track. So let's talk about exactly what happened. So, real research published in the European Journal of Social Psychology followed people as they built new habits. And what they found was that habit formation actually takes anywhere from 18 days to 254 days, with the average being 66 days. So let's talk about this. 66 days is just over 2 months. 21 days is 3 weeks. So, why does this matter and why are we doing math in the middle of this conversation? One, because I love math, but that's not the reason. Because when you expect change in 21 days and it doesn't happen, your brain is going to think you failed and you will most likely give up. But the truth is, your brain was still working on building those neural pathways and you quit before the process was complete. The research should actually be really encouraging to you because it means there's no arbitrary deadline. It means that everyone's brain works at its own pace. It means that if you haven't seen results yet, you're probably still on the right track. And it means that every single repetition is building those neural pathways, even when you don't feel it. So, today I want to talk about the one small win strategy. So, if habits take an average of 66 days to form, how can you set yourself up for success? The answer is to start ridiculously and almost embarrassingly small. So, I'm talking about habits that are so tiny that they might feel silly. Why start flossing all your teeth? Start with one. Why set a goal for 10 push-ups? Start with one. If you're learning to journal, if that's what you want to make a habit, just write one sentence. If you want to get into breathing, just breathe 3 times. Don't make a 10-minute breathwork session. So, why does this work? Remember the neural pathway analogy. The easier a behavior is to repeat, the faster your brain can carve that pathway. So, if you try to run 5 miles on day one, your brain will resist you because it's hard. But if you walk 100 steps, your brain barely notices the effort. So, let me show you how this works. Let's use the push-up analogy. So, on week one, do one push-up a day. So now what's your brain saying to yourself? Between 7 and 14 days, your brain is learning, oh, I guess we are the person that does push-ups now. Our neural pathways begin to form, and there's no resistance because it's just one push-up. Now, weeks 3 and 4. One push-up is now feeling automatic. It's feeling simple, it's feeling good. So now let's up it to 2. Now what you're doing is you're strengthening your neural pathway, and you might actually naturally want to do more. So now let's go into months 2 and 3. Push-ups now have become part of your identity. You now know to say, I'm someone who exercises, and that habit expands naturally. And now we're continuing to build that strong neural pathway. So notice here that the key is you did not force the growth, but you let your brain's natural plasticity do the work. Let me give you a few other micro habits that work. So, say your goal is I want to read more, which is a goal of mine, of course. Now, I might not be able to fit in a whole chapter, but I can definitively read 1 page a day. And then by weeks 2 and 3, I'm going to be reading 2 pages a day. Then, see month 2 and 3, I might be able to get that whole chapter a day. So don't set yourself up with the main goal immediately. Say I'm going to read 1 page a day. Okay. I want to increase my water. This one, hard for me. I've been working on that. I've actually gotten much better over time. But did I start with a goal saying I'm going to drink 8 glasses of water a day when I was barely drinking one? No. I'm going to say, let me drink 1 extra glass of water this week. That is so much simpler than it is to say drinking 8 glasses. And something that you can do is to attach it to another habit you have. So when I'm eating dinner, which I do every day, I'm going to drink that 1 extra glass of water. Or when I wake up and brush my teeth, which I do every day anyway, I'm going to drink that 1 extra glass of water. Okay, so the journaling. I'm just going to write 1 sentence this week. That's all you have to start with. And okay, I want to start a meditation practice. That's great. Let's start with 1 minute a day. That's all you need. Each of these examples is building the neural infrastructure for the bigger habit that you eventually want to get through. So, here's something that's absolutely fascinating. These tiny habits don't just change your behavior, they change how you look at yourself. So after a few weeks of doing 1 push-up daily, you start thinking, I am someone who exercise. And that identity shift is incredibly powerful for a long-term change. I just want to give a really cool example from my life that I was going through over the last few months. So I've been on a journey into better health, and that's why I said the water has become a little bit easier, but something that was extremely hard for me is exercise. And so I set out to walk a mile a day. This was in June. And I took a mile walk every day with my neighbor, which is good. It's always good to have someone to be there with you. But if you don't, like, that's not an issue either. And then we found after a few weeks, 1 mile is not that bad. Let's go to 2 miles. And now at this point, we're walking 3 miles consistently every day. It doesn't feel like work, and it's just something that's part of my evening now. So this really does work, and I'm on my exactly 3rd month at this point. So, motivation is also, I mean, a great part of this process and being so important, but just keep doing it, even when it's terrible. Because let me tell you, there are days when it's terrible. And I'm like, I don't want to walk at all, but you know what? I made a promise to myself, I want to walk. And now, when I talk about it, I say to people, I am a walker. I am someone who walks. I am someone who values walking. So 3 months ago, I would have never said that. I would have been like, I walk when necessary. And now I am a walker. And I am a walker who invested in herself by buying shoes that did not hurt my feet because I realized how important it is to invest in myself. So that's really, it's just so powerful what this can do for you. So I'm going to leave you with a challenge today, which is so since we know that your brain has the incredible ability to rewire yourself, and today we learned how this happens with our habits using the cue, routine, and reward loop that gets stronger with each repetition. You've also learned that real habit formation takes time, around 66 days, 2 months on average, and that's completely normal and expected. And most importantly, you learn that the fastest way to build new neural pathways is to start so small that your brain does not resist. And so I challenge you for this week to choose one micro habit, something so small that it feels almost silly, something that you can do in under 2 minutes and maybe even in under 30 seconds. Do not try to change your whole life this week. Just pick one tiny thing and do it daily. And watch as your brain literally rewires itself to make this new behavior automatic. And I want you to remember, you're not just changing your behavior, you're changing the structure of your brain. Every single repetition matters, even when you don't feel like you're making progress. Your brain is rewiring itself every day. Now you know how to guide the process. So, I hope that everyone took something amazing from that. I hope what I take is 66 days versus 21 is a huge difference. So do not give up if it doesn't come easy in the first 3 weeks. Do not. And again, start so small that it can't be hard. It can't be hard. Whatever it is, make it a micro goal so that you can never feel overwhelmed. That's the best way to do this. So, I want you to, in the comments, either here if you're live today or in the group if you're watching this as a replay, commit. We have 1 week until our next live. Commit to what you're going to do. So pick one small micro habit. And now for me, I do not journal. So I am going to choose the micro habit of writing a sentence a night on gratitude. Instead of just saying it in my head, I want to write it down because writing things down also helps your brain. So I'm going to write one sentence of gratitude a night, and I'm going to use that as my micro habit building for the next week. So I want you to let me know what's coming up for you and what you would like to do for the next week. I'm going to stop sharing this. I will post it in the group, and I'm going to see if there's any comments in the chat in Zoom. Okay, all right. So thank you everyone so much for being here, for watching the replay, and I cannot wait to see what you've chosen as your micro habit to build over the next week. And I will see you next week. All right, bye.